The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. Baroness Michelle Mone. Lady Mone is renowned as one of the UK's most influential ladies. She's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur turned parliamentarian, and she's now a startup business star for the British government. And she's advocate for female equality in business. She's founder of Ultimo Brands International, the UK's leading lingerie brand for the last 2 decades. She set out with a vision of helping women look and feel their very best. It was upon that simple concept that Lady Mone built her career and influence, being honoured with a life peerage to the House of Lords by the Prime Minister and an OBE from Her Majesty the Queen for her outstanding contributions to business. I have interviewed many people, and I have to say that Baroness Michelle Mone is probably one of the most inspiring ladies that I've met. She's literally come from nothing, entrepreneurial from very early years. We're talking from the age of 9. She's had many ups and downs, but she's always come on top. She's a phenomenal, inspiring lady. You're going to love her interview. And my work with her, apart from interviewing her for the Inspiring People interviews, she spoke at the Best You Expo. I saw her live at another event, and I knew at that point that I would love to have her at our expo. So she's absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure you're going to love the interview. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Bernardo, and welcome to Inspiring People. Today, I've got the great pleasure of interviewing Baroness Michelle Mone, OBE, who is one of the UK's most successful entrepreneurs. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a mentor. She's a very, very busy lady.
Hello,
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Michelle, tell me a little bit more about yourself, where you're from and where you grew up.
I grew up in the East End of Glasgow, which is a deprived area, but incredible people. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but it was very working class.
And what were your early years like? What was school like for you?
I wasn't that great at school. I was dyslexic. And at the age of 10, my young brother died. And my dad was getting quite sick. So I decided to start up my own business at 10 years old. And that was a paper round. And by the age I was 11, I had 17 teenagers working for me. And then I went on to a fruit shop and a sweet shop. And I was just so passionate about business. And I left school at 15 because my dad was then confined to a wheelchair when he was 38 years old.
That passion, I suppose, for getting into business was probably trying to help your family out. Was that it?
Yeah,
that what drove you?
Absolutely. I just wanted to get out there and work. I wasn't great at school. So I thought, well, the best way that I can learn is by working every day and learning as much as everyone else. And that's why I went out there and started work at 15. And I haven't really had any time off since.
Was there anyone that inspired you when you were younger?
I suppose the famous names like Richard Branson. I wanted to be the female Richard Branson. And, you know, back then when I started 21 years ago, female entrepreneurs, you know, there wasn't a lot of us. There was people like Dame Rita Roddick, but there wasn't as many women entrepreneurs to look up to. So I suppose I looked up to him.
So you left school at 15 and then what happened?
I left school at 15. I went round lots of doctor's surgeries and dentist surgeries, and no one would give me a job because I didn't have a national insurance card number. So I started working as a fashion model, and I was really bad at it, like really, really bad. But I managed to do that until I was 19. I had my first baby when I was 19, Rebecca. And I suppose that was very, very young back then. But she gave me the sort of drive and enthusiasm to work harder, because I then, had a small mortgage, a tiny mortgage, I think £38,000. And I thought, this is huge. How am I going to pay this? And I wanted to give her the things that I didn't have when I grew up. And after she was born, I got a job in Labatt's, the beer company. It's just an admin girl. And I was so bad at that as well, because I couldn't type to save myself. But I set myself a goal that I wanted to get up to the top of Labatt's within 4 years. And I actually did it within 3 years. I was sort of heading up Scotland's sales and marketing. And I absolutely loved it. So I had a plan, and I worked exactly to that plan. And I still have a plan every single day of what I want to do in life, both personally and both in business.
And then unfortunately that company went bust, and kind of you had to start all over again, I suppose.
No, it didn't go bust.
Oh, okay.
Labatt's got bought over by Whitbread UK.
Okay.
And I lost my job. I got made redundant. And that's when, about 6 weeks, I was crying, and what am I going to do? I don't have a job anymore. I had a bigger mortgage then, because I moved house, because I then had 2 babies, Rebecca and Declan, and I have got 3 in total. And I moved home and made redundant, and I was devastated. And that's when the light bulb moment arrived.
So this was you going out one night, very uncomfortable with the girls, and you said there's got to be something more comfortable that we could wear. And you came up with the idea of developing or creating something that you had no experience with.
That's right. I went to a dinner dance and I was wearing a very uncomfortable cleavage bra, and I thought, why should women go through all this pain for a tiny bit of gain? And I took the bra off in the toilets. It was that uncomfortable. And I went back to the table with all of my friends, and I said, I'm going to invent a bra, start a business on Monday. And they said, what do you know about bras? You haven't been to college, you haven't been to university. And I says, well, I've got a pair of boobs and I'll work it out. That's what I did. For 3.5 years of my life, I invented Ultimo, the first world gel-fill bra.
And I know the whole process, the things you had to learn, the patents. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, because it must have been such a massive challenge.
It was a big challenge, and I didn't know what to do because I'd never done it before. And I was very young and naive. I was 24 years old.
Not a lot of internet around to
There was not your Google or anything like that. I just did my research, and I went to the Prince's Trust, and they gave me some help, and they gave me a mentor as well. And, thousands of prototypes later, from playing around with the bra, and I wanted to, with the first gel fill bra, I wanted to create basically a boob job bra. And 3.5 years later, I got all my friends and family into my bedroom, and I asked my Auntie Joan to try it on first. And she says, well, why me? I said, well, if I can give you a cleavage, it will be a miracle. So she went in and she came out of the bathroom and she had a massive cleavage. And that's when I went down to Selfridges, the department store.
So you developed your bra.
Yeah.
You have no way, you don't know how you're going to sell it, but you thought, I'm going to go to Selfridges and sell it there. I love the story. You just popped in there and decided to share your idea and your dream.
Yeah, I've always been told by my mum and dad, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what education you managed to get. It doesn't matter the colour of your skin, your religion. If you have that dream, passion, determination, can-do attitude, you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. And they've always taught me to think big. So I thought, well, I could go to small boutiques and I could sell my range through there, but minimum order quantities is going to be a massive issue for me. So I just turned up to the buying office in Selfridges, the biggest, most prestigious department store in the UK. And I didn't have an appointment. I just had a bag of bras. And I said, I'm here to see the buyer. And she says, do you have an appointment? And I said, no. And she says, well, you won't get to see her. And I said, well, you don't understand. This is 3.5 years of my life in this bag. I'm heavily pregnant with my third baby. I'm £480,000 in debt. And this is the best cleavage bra ever. I need to see the buyer now. Anyway, half an hour later, after trying to persuade her, and I think she felt sorry for me. The buyer came down and tried the bra on, and boom, I got into Selfridges. So I suppose when I'm mentoring people in business, I say to them, you've got to approach people, you've got to get yourself out there. Don't sit on your backside and wait for them to come to you, because it ain't going to happen.
So your bras in Selfridges, and I love the story that all of a sudden you're getting calls from all over the world, and Julia Roberts and Erin Brockovich was wearing the actual bra, and you didn't even know, did you, at the time?
No, that's right. So we launched in Selfridges, and I hired 12 actors to dress up as plastic surgeons. Everyone thought I was mad because I only had £500 left. But it worked, 54 million pounds of PR overnight, because the press thought they were actual plastic surgeons, demonstrating.
They were demonstrating, yeah.
Ban the Ultimo bra, and I was in every paper round the world just about. And then Julia Roberts, we got a phone call from Saks, the president of Saks Fifth Avenue, saying Julia Roberts is wearing your bra. You're all over the media. And what had happened there was that I sent lots of prototypes out to many, many wardrobe people and stylists, etc., film companies, and her people picked up the bra and amended it, is what I've been told, and that was that. I mean, I didn't actually see her and fit her with it, but I just sent them out there, and that's what we heard, yeah.
So I'll continue asking you some questions of how you grew up. But one of the things, obviously, that you've been very strategic and you've always planned and very determined with a lot of the things that you've done. So what's giving you that clarity, to build how you build Ultimo? What was your ultimate drive there?
I just wanted to turn it into one of the biggest lingerie brands in the country. You've got all the other brands like Wonderbra and Gossard who had millions of pounds for their campaigns. I had nothing. I had no money. But I just had that drive and determination and can-do attitude. And innovation was a massive part in the organisation. Throughout the years, I created 17 worldwide inventions and 104 design registrations. And I think innovation in any business is key. Mm-hmm. And that was my major drive. And the PR, in 10 years, we created over £1 billion of PR, which is massive. And then I went on to create 8 other brands, so 9 brands in total from scratch, because I wanted to get into the entry level of supermarket brands. And I had Michelle for George, then I had Tesco, Bra Queen Michelle, and I was in all the supermarkets, then I was in all the department store, mid-market, and then I was in higher end market, Selfridges, Harrods, people like that. And I developed brands, 9 brands for all of those customers, and every single brand had its own DNA and its own brand Bible, and I made everyone stick to the exact brand Bible so that none of the brands would compete.
If you're interested in working with me, contributing to the magazine, maybe speaking at any of our many events around the world, partnering or licensing The Best You, go to www.thebestyou.co.
And its own media campaign, because that's what you've been so great at, is getting all this amazing exposure from the media.
Yeah, absolutely, because I had no choice. So I used to absolutely beg some supermodels and famous faces to be the face and body of Ultimo. And then after the number of years of us being everywhere, we used to get the models begging us. The tables had turned. And I had this grid in my office of all these models, of all the different brands. And I used to trade them with the picture desks and the newspapers, who was hot at that moment in time.
It was like a vision board.
Yeah, just a grid. It was like I used to trade these models. And if one of the models fell out of a taxi steaming drunk, then there was bad PR coming for the brand. So I used to convince the editor, I'll give you her pictures first. They weren't coming out for another 2 weeks. Get rid of that story about the model falling out of the taxi drunk. And I was just playing around, managing them all. It was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy time, but it was the best time of my life. But it was also exhausting bringing up 3 children, 3 babies. Yeah.
Your story, which might seem easy now, all the things you've achieved. You've obviously had a lot of adversity. And the first one was obviously when you expanded or planned to start distributing your brand around the world, and someone took money away from you. That was challenging, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was exceptionally challenging, and we almost went bust, excuse the puns, but we were introduced to these distributors, and they were from Quebec in Canada, and my ex-husband gave them the distributorship, and I begged him not to, because, you know, when I meet someone, I scan them and I work them out, and I didn't get a great feeling from those people. I didn't like the whites of their eyes, but he didn't listen to me. I suppose he was a graduate and I left school at 15 with no business degree or anything like that, whereas he had. And he gave them credit of 1.4 million pounds they ran off with, and 10 months of stock. When I said, look, just, you know, let us take the money from Bloomingdale's and Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue and we'll give them the commission. But no, he didn't listen to me. And that was a really challenging time. And plus at that time, I really didn't know how to separate myself from the business. And that's why I love mentoring people, to help them manage. You know, you can have it all. You can have that work-life balance. It's taken me 20 years to work it out. And I wish I had a mentor back then. But I put on, you know, 98 pounds in weight. I went from a size 10 to a size 22. And it was just the sheer pressure. And working with my ex-husband, he joined the business 3.5 years after it was set up. And our relationship just got so bad, really bad, working with one another. And, you know, that's why I love helping people now to try and have that happy relationship and separate things. There's business and there's your family life.
But they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's right. I mean, I've actually been beaten up and down the street. I don't know how many times. But I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through all of that. And sometimes things happen for a reason. And every day's a school day. And I learnt so much from that couple running away with 1.4 million pounds and 10 months of stock. Because I wouldn't be as strong and I wouldn't be as savvy in business the way I am today. But I still learn every day. And, you know, even though I'm speaking around the world to 4,000 or 5,000 people at a time in the audience, and I'm on that world stage now, I still don't think I've made it. I think I've just graduated. I've got so much more to do. Well, and I'm really excited.
You haven't done bad so far.
All right, so far, so good, yeah.
I was going to ask you, I mean, what would you say your best assets are?
I can look at a product and launch that product and make it very, very successful. My knowledge of design, technical, manufacturing, shipping, retail, promotion, marketing, PR, all of that and many, many more things is what makes a good brand. But, you know, I've sold Ultimo now. I sold Ultimo last year. I had to hang up my bra and move on and do other things. And I really do feel as if now I'm in my absolute prime. I'm divorced now. I've got 3 amazing kids. You know, I'm in the House of Lords. I've got an OBE. I just feel I'm ready to take on the world, and I've got loads of exciting things about to happen.
And I want to ask you about that, but I just want to, because you're such an inspiring lady, and having seen, as you just said, you got divorced, that was obviously a very challenging period. And I know there's a lot of women out there, and men that maybe, you know, go through that.
Yeah.
What would your advice be as someone that's gone through divorce and how to come out the other way?
I would say every divorce is very difficult. Mine was exceptionally difficult. I think because my husband had an affair with my head designer who lived in my guest house. So not only was it bad for us personally, but for the company, it was like throwing a bomb into the company. It was horrific. It was horrific for the team. And the company came crashing down, and every offer that we had, they wanted me to move to China, or they wanted me to move to Hong Kong, and they didn't want my ex-husband. They just wanted to buy the brand and me in it. And I wasn't prepared to move away from my children. So I found my own buyer. So eventually, after a year of battling with him, I finally bought him out of the business. And I suppose I was exceptionally bitter for probably 2 years, really, really bitter. And my advice is there's no point in being bitter. If anything like that happens in your life again, just think that it happens for a reason. And you've got to move on. And, you know, now I'm in my prime, now I'm extremely happy. And, but I've learnt a lot from it. And I wouldn't have been doing the things that I'm doing now if I was still married to him. So, yeah, I'm very happy. And he's married her now, and good luck to them both.
Well, listen, as you said, it's about moving on and thinking what's happening. There's a good reason behind it anyway. Things happen for a reason. 2011, OBE. 2015, Baroness.
Yeah.
Michelle Mone of Mayfair. So you must be so proud. I mean, how amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, my OBE from the Queen was a real shock, but that was services to business. And I was really proud because that was for my family and the team at Ultimo, because I wouldn't have got it without any of them. And then, you know, the Prime Minister asked me to go into the House of Lords, a lifetime peer. So yeah, Baroness Mone of Mayfair, and it's funny when I look back and I think, you know, when I grew up in the East End of Glasgow, we had no bath or shower. It was a one bedroom I shared with my mum and dad. And it was a real struggle, but my mum and dad worked so hard and they loved me, you know, to death. But we used to always play Monopoly, just in the lounge floor. And I always wanted to land on Mayfair because I knew it was just successful and it was, you know, it was rich, and I just was so interested in it. And now, Baroness of Mayfair, it's sometimes I wake up and I think, really? Did that really happen? But I think what I'm proud of doing this year is the government review for the Prime Minister, well, the ex-Prime Minister, David Cameron. And that was, I was the Startup Business Czar, advising on startups, and especially in deprived areas. And I've managed to get HSBC to open up some business hubs from that review. And in the House of Lords, I'm just really, really passionate about enterprise and helping women and startups. And I'll be getting heavily involved next year. I wanted a year of just learning and doing my maiden speech. You know, because when you're in there for life, there's no real rush. You've just got to sit back and learn as much as you can how it all works. So now I've got a year under my belt. I'll be kicking off next year and getting involved in lots of things.
What a cool place to work at, I suppose.
It's very cool, and it's a real honour, and it's very traditional. And I love the fact that it is traditional. And I love the fact that, you know, women or men and kids from working class areas can maybe look and see, well, you know, if she's managed to do it, then I can too. You know, I'm not that special. I'm not that brilliant. I've just worked hard and never given up.
So you're speaking all over the world. You're very passionate about mentorship. What does a mentor mean to you, and how do you help people?
Well, I'm not a professional coach or anything like that, or a professional mentor.
Very professional. Done.
It's just when I mentor someone, and either that's through charity placement, or either it's a commercial placement, and it could be groups of people, or for companies, or for individuals. And I don't take anyone on. We interview them first before I take them on. And if they want to get their products, for example, on QVC, which I do a lot for QVC, then I'll help them prepare their products, and I'll help them write their brand Bibles, and I'll help mentor them. You know, I always believe healthy mind, healthy body, healthy business as well. And I've managed to lose 8.5 stone, which is, I think, 98 pounds. I'm relatively fit, and I just love teaching them how you can have it all, how you can have that, you know, time for your family, but especially time for yourself as well. Because if you're not fit and healthy, then you're not, you know, going to be able to help others around you. So I love mentoring people and seeing what their needs are, and saying to them, what would you love to happen? What are your dreams? And I love helping them to make all that come true.
To find out more about our latest projects, get a free coaching lesson, or download my book, go to www.bernardo-moya.com.
Well, one of the things that obviously, you know, people that lose their jobs maybe in their 40s or 50s, or people that are looking for new careers, or those that just come out of university, or maybe haven't got a career. What do you think the best assets are to have, and how people could move forward? Because sometimes people think, you know, it's too late for me, or I haven't got the education. What do you think the best assets
I would say it all comes down to confidence. And you being able to walk in a room and saying, you know, I am the best, and my product, my service is the best. If you doubt yourself for one split second, or your product or your service, then everyone around you will doubt you as well. So I think you have to be confident, and you know, if you just work hard and you don't ever overpromise and underdeliver for your customers, and you just have that positive mental attitude, you will succeed. But it ain't easy.
No.
You know, successful people have gone through a war to get to where they have, and I've certainly gone through a lot of wars to get to where I am today. And again, I don't know it all. I'm still learning every day.
Yeah, education is such an important part of it, isn't it? And I think people need to understand, because nowadays I just think we're so lucky with internet, Google. There's so much information accessible. So carry on learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, the more we can do at school in terms of trying to teach, if you can teach it, common sense, you know, doing several tests of, you know, if that pair of ladders over there wasn't there, what would you do? And, you know, it just common sense puzzles and working things out, and maybe starting their own business in the classroom. And I know that Enterprise Scotland have been doing that, where the 5-year-old is the managing director, and then you've got, you know, the finance director, and they're all working together as if it's an actual company. And I think we need to do more of that. It all starts with education. Education about business and how to be an entrepreneur, but also how to separate it as well. This is the time for your family. Because being an entrepreneur can suck you right in. And I wrote about that last year in my autobiography. It launched My Fight to the Top, and it went in all the #1 in all the charts, and even Amazon as well. And I do talk about how you can separate it, how not to let it suck you in and take over and ruin your life. Because there was a point where I didn't want to wake up anymore. That's how bad it got.
That's great advice. Now, I know you're a great connector, and you've know people from all over the world, from all sorts of industries, and you're now, consulting, and you've got a company that helps people. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, it's setting up in January. It's called MMI, Michelle Mone International. And basically, for example, people from the Middle East are wanting to acquire companies in the UK, or vice versa, then I pretty much know everyone, and to put them together and to make that deal get over the line. So yes, it's a consultancy business, and we've managed to form a great team of people. We're moving into an amazing office just next to Buckingham Palace. We've got a few barristers, lawyers, accountants, amazing team of people. And we'll make the deals happen. And I just love it. I love business, full stop. And I thought when I sold Ultimo last year, I would retire. But I've since then gone on to design my own jewellery for QVC, which sells out within seconds when it's on air. And I've written my book, as I said, and I just get involved in lots of different business things, and obviously my commitments to the government for the House of Lords.
You're not really sharing how much you do. So you sold your company, you're a speaker, you're an author, you've got MMI. Tell us what other companies, what else you're involved in.
I also...
Now that you're slowing down.
Now that I'm slowing down, I know. So I have my own jewellery collection on QVC, and I design for them, and it's absolutely stunning. And it sells out every single collection. I'm on to my 12th collection now within a year. It's now their biggest designer collection that they've got. I've got a company, a tanning company called U-Tan, because I hate tans that smell, so I invented a tan that doesn't smell. And speak, around the world. And I'm writing another book at the moment. My commitment to the House of Lords and the government. I'm pretty full on in the speaking round the world and the mentoring as well. But MMI is an exciting new company. I just can't wait to put people together, because sometimes deals don't happen when they are not put together in the right way. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
it's absolutely obviously who you know. So I can see that having tremendous success.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
So what would you say drives you?
What drives me? Well, I wake up every single morning with the fear of failure. And I always still have that fear of failure. Even though I don't have to worry about money anymore. I think when you're on the top, when you've made it to the top, the hardest thing is staying there as well. And, you know, I'm also going to be involved in other new organisations next year as well, and I've just got this drive and determination, and when I get to somewhere, I then set myself another challenge, another goal, and I think it's important to always get out of your comfort zone. Never be comfortable. I mean, the House of Lords was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life. But, you know, I'm happy with it now. It's a year in now. I'm just comfortable with it now. But I think always just push yourself out and never sort of say, oh, I can't do that, and, you know, they won't like me, or I won't be able to go there. You know, just have that positive belief that you can. And I suppose that's what drives me every single day, and is I love learning. I love learning new things. I don't sit and watch soap TV shows like Coronation Street or EastEnders. I'm sure they're amazing. I will watch the Discovery Channel. I will watch Sky News. I will watch things that I learn from. I want to learn every single day.
Well, that's not true. Change can be uncomfortable, but basically what it means is you're growing, you're evolving. And I think one of the things that you've done is you set very high standards to yourself. So when you say you've hit that point now, you've set yourself such a standard that you've got to keep up. But it's down to standards, isn't it? Quality.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm an absolute perfectionist. I'm a bit of a nightmare and control freak, because everything has to be perfect. And I've got OCD, and, you know, I sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. I'm always up and I'm always thinking. But right now, I would say that I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Because, you know, when the business was a massive success, my personal life was a nightmare. And then my personal life was a nightmare with, you know, paying off my husband, the divorce and everything else. That was a nightmare. And buying him out of the company. But at the moment, touch wood, my business career has been the biggest it's ever been, and my personal life is the happiest it's ever been. But I've had to work at that all the time. You know, when I was going through the horrible divorce with my ex-husband, I could have given up. I could have, you know, not found a buyer to help me buy him out and probably, you know, been working for someone else now. But it's that massive fight and determination that, you know, I could go 12 rounds with Mike Tyson, and I'm fearless as well. You know, I'll take anything on. So maybe that's my Glaswegian attitude inside me.
Sure. Many years from now, what would you like your legacy to be?
I would just love to inspire as many people as possible, especially from deprived areas, for them to look up to me and say, well, if she's managed to do it, to build these successful brands and, you know, get an OBE and in the House of Lords and everything else, and she's from an area where we live in, then we can do it too. There ain't no secret. You know, if you just work hard, I always say the harder you work, the luckier you become. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you so much for watching Inspiring People. Thank you. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.